were the governor of Virginia, which who knows, maybe someday I will, and then I take whatever funds necessary in the state of Virginia, and we help Virginia. Virginia helps Texas and Arizona and whoever else are busing them, and we bus these intruders, which is what they are. They weren't invited. Wonderful people, though. We bus them to the states that are wont to vote Democrat. You like Democrat policies, you'll have to live with Democrat outcomes. So I think especially the little states, and I apologize to all my white brothers and sisters in those little states, but Vermont, New Hampshire, states like Maine, even bigger states, Maine, Connecticut, and particularly to the locales where the wealthy Democrats, the wealthy Democrat voters, the wealthy anti-whites live, where they vacation. In fact, as the governor of Virginia, I would buy warehouses in these other states, and then I would fit them out with cots and food and running water and showers, everything. No cages for the intruders, no cages, no cages. No, I would move them up to this area and we would fingerprint them because why? Well, we would say, you may stay in this palatial warehouse for a week or maybe for a month. And we will tell you exactly where to go in the lovely state of New Hampshire or Vermont or Maine or New York or Connecticut or any of these states that are just always voting Democrat. They love Democrat policies and they love how white they remain, with the exception of the cities, of course. I mean, we just saw this joke going around. I don't know if it's supposed to be real, but it is laughable, where it says best aspects of a state and worst aspects of a state. And they talked about Maine, and they said Maine is the best thing about Maine is that it has the lowest crime in the United States. Worst thing about Maine, it's got the least diversity. I think we need to correct that. I think we need to move all these white people, and it's been a phenomenon that we have suffered with in the white sympathetic sphere for far too long. And that is the white people who live furthest from anti-whiteism in the past. I mean, now it's visited in very many ways. But the white people that live the furthest always have no problem voting for policies that continue to destroy Western civilization in other states. States like Virginia, it's a once great state. Many of these intruders are going to be moved from D.C. into an area called Manassas, Virginia. You can look it up. It's not so nice anymore. It used to be a good old boy. You used to be able to drive down through Manassas, and it was all jacked up trucks and motorcycles and good folk. And now this part looks like Tijuana, and this part looks like Vietnam, and this part looks, and all of those places are wonderful. But I'd rather not have them in Virginia. I'd rather have them where those places are originally named. And then if I want to visit, I could do so. But it's a very different place now, not Western civilization anymore. So I think anybody, and then maybe as the governor of Virginia, I would extend this not only to intruders to the United States. Remember, that word just means people who aren't invited, even though they're wonderful as can be. But I would extend this to criminals. I would go to the jails in Virginia and I would say, well, it looks like your sentence is about to complete or nearly, you have 5 more years. So it's coming to its end. How would you like to move the hell out of Virginia? How would you like to find yourself a beautiful new home in Maine? How about right now? Because we will use Virginia tax dollars. There's one stipulation, and that is, as well as for the intruders, you come into Virginia and we move you somewhere wonderful like Maine or New Hampshire or something like this. How about some of these beautiful little all-white fishing towns that continue to vote Democrat? I don't have any pity. I don't have no compunction whatsoever for the folks there, the white folks there, who continue to vote Democrat and do to this country what they are doing. So if you are from those areas and you say, well, I don't vote Democrat, well, you better, if Jason ends up in office, get ready to move, because I am going to visit upon those beautiful little places, all of these wonderful people from the south of the border, and all of these wonderful people who have spent long times in Virginia jails the stipulation will be you can never come back to Virginia. That will be breaking a law that will put you in jail, maybe minimum of 10 years. Can't even cross the border. Don't come back. If we find you here, minimum of 10 years in our jail, maybe longer. So they'll know I can go anywhere in this country except Virginia. I can go anywhere I want. I can stay up in the Northeast. I can do whatever, but I can't go to Virginia. Can't even take 95 through Virginia. 10 years in prison, automatic. They said they let me out of jail 5 years early, and they said they gave me some money to get started with, and they brought me up to this big warehouse up in Vermont, and it was beautiful. There were cots, and there were food, and there was just the things they do for us folk. And then they showed me where the welfare office was there in Vermont, and they showed me where I could access all these government resources. They told me where I could find all of it. And then after a month or so, I had to leave the warehouse, and I could never come back to the warehouse. And they had my fingerprints, so I knew I couldn't go back. But I would say if I was Governor Kohne, but I don't know, I kind of like King Kohne. We gave me the lordship of Western civilization the other night on Going Free. I kind of like King Kohne. But in the interim, I will take Governor Kohne as a title and on my way to King Kohne. But I would say to Abbott, I would say, sure, bus them on up here. We'll take them from you, and we're going to continue shipping them on up to where these folks live. So I'm gonna find Martha's Vineyard. I'm gonna get a nice big warehouse. I'm gonna put them up at Martha's Vineyard. Maybe they can be in the warehouse at night. Maybe their women and children, if there are any. You don't often see many of those. They can be in the warehouse all day long if they like. But the men, no, they can only be in the warehouse at sleeping hours. The rest of the time in Martha's Vineyard, they will have to loiter. I don't care where they loiter. They just can't be in my warehouse. And Greg Abbott will say, yes, sir, I'll ship them right up to you. We're going to take them, ship them in the nicest buses. We want them to be comfortable the entire way. And then we're going to make sure that the right people get a hold of them. And then I think on the other side of the country, you know, where Arizona, New Mexico, if they decide that people start waking up there, they can start shipping them up maybe to Washington State, Oregon. They can start shipping them to these places where these people want these outcomes. Because I got to tell you, I am being sick and tired of having to suffer Democrat desires, Democrat villainy signaling in Western civilization, what's left of this carcass that's on fire. So I would visit their hell upon them. They think it's a wonderful thing. Well, you're going to have it a wonderful thing in the Catskills, baby. You're going to have it in the Catskills, because I'm buying a warehouse there, and we're going to fill it up. We're going to be dumping tens of thousands every month in the Catskills. Oh, with the tax rolls of Virginia voters, I'm going to be able to compete with the wealthy up there, and I'll buy some nice place, some nice warehouses to make this begin, and it'll be a wonderful thing, a transformation. Governor Abbott launched Texas border bus mission back in April to bring President Biden's border crisis to his backyard in Washington, D.C., and to help Texas border communities that are being overrun as the federal government dumps migrants in their towns, Abbott spokeswoman said in a statement to the Washington Examiner. Now D.C. is experiencing just a fraction. Now, of course, Bowser bow-wowing at the moon every night, howling at the moon every night. She's up there complaining now across the river and saying how this is ridiculous. The people are being tricked. They're just coming up with any pretext for it. It's somehow awful that they're doing this, busing these folks up here because she's having to deal with it. But make no mistake, they'll be sending funds. This is the thing you have to understand. This is 57D chess. I mean, they are going to use your federal tax dollars to pay for these people, whether they're in D.C. or Vermont. So it's not a matter of who's going to end up paying for it. In the end, the Democrats are going to find a way to use your tax dollars to pay for it, no matter where you are in these United States. So what's the other thing you can do? Well, 30 or so loitering young men, old men, men who might be whistling, men who might be grabbing their crotches when you walk by, 30 or so of them loitering at every 7-Eleven or something. That is a different type of pressure. And you're not just going to be able to say box these people up in a train or something, because that is inhuman. You just simply can't do that to them. And since we will have said, well, in the state of Virginia, you go to jail for 10 years if you come back, they're not just going to be able to ship them right back down to Virginia. And they sure as shit aren't going to be passing a law saying, if you come back, you go to New Hampshire, you'll go to jail for 10 years. No, they won't be doing that. No, what will happen is their minds, their Democrat minds, will be getting changed real fast. So I would find where these folks live. Oh, make no mistake, with the power of the government in the state of Virginia, I would find out where these Roth and then Shields, where they live in the United States, and anybody else that has the big money, anybody else that decides what's going to happen in the United States and to Western kind. And it has been all focused on inflicting injury on us and destroying, white erasing us from the civilization that we created. I will find their palaces and I will park these people next door.